So I am a woman who's ever so slightly over 50, so I'm proof that you don't have to be really young to work in tech. And I've got a 35-year-old son. My kind of background is a little bit unconventional in that I finished school at 16 and I was pregnant and married by the time I was 17. So I'd kind of, although I was somebody who was deemed bright at school, I was what you would call a non-conformist, which is kind of a bit about where I was coming from. But I was really lucky in that after leaving school, I kind of discovered that my first job was a data operator on the census, and I suddenly discovered very quickly that the people who could type and use computer equipment could earn a lot more money than I could. So I quickly cottoned onto the fact that I could make a good living if I was better at tech. My school was kind of very academic, so it was not something that we'd really focused on. So once I entered the world, I realised that it was something very different that was out there. Okay, so I left school with the sum total of 4 O-levels that don't even exist anymore, and that 2 of them were in religion and English. But once I had my son, I went to night school and did some more A-levels and did some more qualifications, and then I was really, really lucky in that I went to work for an organisation that was hugely supportive of further career development as part of your role. So I was really privileged in that I was able to do more qualifications and have access to in-house training as part of that job, which is what had helped me to develop. I'm not really sure I ever had anything specific in mind, but what I did know was that I was the eldest of 3 siblings and I was extremely good at organising people. I was a very good organiser, so I always knew it was going to be something where I was in charge. So I can kind of say that I had a clear career plan in terms of being in charge of things. And I also knew I was a really good problem solver. And I think that is a really important part of my role now. Okay, so I'm actually old enough to remember tech first coming into the workplace, and I can remember the first example was when my manager said to me, I want you to go along to a presentation about something called the Information Superhighway. And I came back and I said, oh, that sounds a bit futuristic. And then about a month later, someone came along and plonked a really large desktop on my desk and said, there you are, you're someone who'll have a go at that. And then off they went. And it kind of gathered dust for about a month. And then I switched it on, and then that was when something absolutely incredible kind of happened in my life, and I thought, oh, this is really good, there's loads of things that I can do with that. So I think that wonder about what tech can do and that wonder about the difference that tech makes has stayed with me throughout my career, really. I worked in the child protection team, and I worked with the developer on designing a new system to record child protection information. Obviously, it's really sensitive, really important information. And what I discovered as part of that piece of work was, although I didn't know how to make the program work, I was really good at explaining how processes worked, how data moved around the system, what were the outputs that were needed from the system. So I suppose I was one of the very first kinds of analysts, although I didn't know I was doing that job, and I really enjoyed doing it. So I am the Assistant Director for the Strategic ICT Partnership, which is for Bolton Council, Wigan Council, and also for Inspiring Healthy Lifestyles, which is a trust that runs leisure facilities, not just in Wigan, but also in Cannock, Selby, other locations. I manage a £47 million IT services contract with our provider Agilicis, so they're responsible for the day-to-day business as usual element of the contract. I manage a team of application support staff who look after all of our in-house applications. I manage IT business partners, and I help all of the organisations with the development of their digital strategies, their customer access strategies, online presence, those types of challenges. Well, the best bits of my role, one of them has got to be that one of the councils that I work for won LGC Digital Council of the Year and another Digital Council of the Year award in 2016. So you would always like to think that IT had kind of a little bit to do with that. But I think what I was really proud of as well is that a lot of our focus has been around digital inclusion and helping our residents to get online, because we know that if residents have access to digital, if they're digitally included, they'll save money, they'll have access to greater opportunities. So that makes me really proud and it makes me really excited. For me, it will be think about what you're good at. Don't think about the things that you don't know or you may not know. You can learn those as you go along. If you're really good at helping people to understand tech, or if you're really good at helping people to make the best use of tech, then focus on those skills. Think about if you're a good problem solver, if you're very organised. There are roles for people like you. The tech industry needs you. It's not always about the development, so focus on what you're good on. If you're curious and you're interested in how things are changing, then you'll be really good in that industry, which is about innovation and thinking differently and all those types of skills. You don't have to be specifically a developer or know how to build kit to be really good in the tech industry. I think I'd like to see more job descriptions and more adverts that are about some of the softer skills that the tech industry needs to encourage. I think there needs to be a greater focus on the benefits of working in the tech industry. It's a really flexible place to work. It lends itself to home working. It lends itself to working different kinds of hours than your traditional 9 to 5, and that can be a really good thing. You know, a lot of system testing, a lot of user kind of skills development takes place outside of traditional hours. That can free you up to do other things that you might want to do during the day, and that's always a good thing. It has got that really flexible element to it, and I'd love to see that reflected in some of the job descriptions. I think it's really important that we recognise the different roles that support the industry, as I've just talked about, because I think that's really important. And I think it's important to remember that I think there are statistics that say 60% of tech projects fail in some way, shape or form. So that definitely tells me we need more people who are really organised, who can think about what goes wrong, who can kind of work with people to get everyone on board and push more of those projects over the line.